But Swami sir, we have been talking about how this year the government is most likely to miss its Capex target by a large extent. In the coming year, do you expect the burden to be shared both by private as well as public? Because they're talking about how the slowdown in investment is only temporary, or do you still expect the government to do the heavy lifting?
No, I think the government will attempt to keep Capex up. There is no way the government can suddenly say, I'm now going to relax and the private sector is going to take over. But yes, the government, I think, has been disappointed that it has invested so much in infrastructure and there has not been sufficient response from the private sector. I will simply say, from the private sector's point of view, they are meeting the demand. And I do not think the private sector sees enough additional demand to be investing like mad, nor do they see the export scene as being so favorable that they can invest in large amounts and export everything. So in these circumstances, I can understand private sector hesitance. I mean, just as Avik said, there are so many unknowns. When there are so many unknowns, why take a chance? So the response will be conservative. And the word conservative is really just another way of saying, we're going to take it easy right now. We are going to wait and watch to see what Mr. Trump says. Because frankly, while Indian prospects may prima facie appear to have improved with the fiscal deficit coming down, the international scene is so completely uncertain. And as Abhik said, we are solidly integrated into the world economy, and what happens there matters to us. So all that we can do is cross our fingers and hope that Mr. Trump's bark is worse than his bite. Thank you.
Well, that only time will tell us. But Swami sir, does that mean that, given the fact you're talking about the uncertainty which is there, the private capex is supposed to then be lacking or at least be on the back foot for the next 12 to 18 months as well? Do you then anticipate that capex will not hit even the 11 lakh crore mark in FY26?
I'm not an optimist at all on things like the stock market or the rupee. There are global trends. I mean, the uncertainty created by Trump means that money is going to flee from relatively risky markets to the safe haven of the USA. This means that the Indian stock market is going to fall as the foreign investors keep pulling money out. It also means that the rupee is likely to weaken further. And I do not think this process has reached its peak by now. It could go on. I don't know exactly how long it will go on because that will depend on what exactly Mr. Trump says and does. But it can carry on for some time. So I would not be an optimist on either the strength of the markets or the strength of the rupee. At some point of time, the rupee may stabilize, but I think not immediately.